Hello and welcome to the Rapid Fire Book Tag. I'm not sure who the original creator of this tag was. I was tagged by Darkstar from Darkstar's Book Cavern, and she had seen it over on Bookish Chaz, so be sure to check out their channels. This should be a quick one. It's called the Rapid Fire, and I didn't have to go around and gather books. There's 24 questions, so here we go. Let's see how quick I can actually do this. Number 1, ebook or physical book? Absolutely physical. Number 2, paperback or hardback? Paperback. I enjoy the hardcovers. I particularly enjoy the information on the inside flap of them, but it's much easier to hold a paperback. Number 3, online or in-store book shopping? In-store, absolutely. It's an entire experience being able to see the books, look at the shelves, chat with the employees. I am in store all the way. And if you've seen my book haul videos for the past year from my Goodwill bookstore, definitely in store. You can't beat the prices and just such amazing, amazing finds. Number 4, trilogies or series? It depends. I mean, a trilogy is nice because you know there's just 3, and the odds of that being start to finish are pretty good. Series are always, how long is this going to go, and is the author going to actually finish it? I'm not a Game of Thrones reader, and it's either that one or one of the other series by that author that apparently now is not going to be finished, and that's just not my thing. And a perfect example of how I read series is I don't start them typically when they first come out. In other words, I already know if it's going to be a start to finish series because I wait. So Wheel of Time, all of them were out before I even found out about them or started reading them. Dresden Files, there's already the 17 books out, so I'll be reading that. I guess the short answer to that would be, I guess, trilogies, because I want to know how it ends. I'm not a mystery reader. Number 5, heroes or villains? Well, I guess, again, that depends. But villains are the ones who come to mind in the books that I've read. In the fiction genre, I mean, there's a lot of nonfiction I've read as well. And there are certainly some amazing heroes there. Yeah, that one I'm going to have to say no preference. Because for heroes, I'm thinking of people like Boudica and others, and I enjoy reading about her and other nonfiction heroes. But villains, you've got people like Dracula, kind of Lestat, certainly in the beginning. I'm thinking more of a villain than a hero. So yeah, it really depends on the series. I can't pick on that one. Number 6, a book you want everyone to read. Oh my. Dracula. Vampire. Out in the daytime, not this, can't go out and about in the day nonsense that became popular because of Hollywood, historical information about that area. The romance part, Mina, considering when that book was written and how Mina is portrayed, strong, independent, educated. Yeah, people could learn from reading Dracula. Number 7, recommend an underrated book. I can't really think of any because there are so many books out there and people are interested in different genres. So unless it's a genre you're interested in or a subject you're curious about, yeah, I have nothing for number 7. Number 8, the last book you finished. This is where keeping notes old school comes in handy. So the last book I finished was The Vampire Lestat. And that's a buddy read that I'm doing with Kat from Ginger Bibliophile. The last book you bought. I'm laughing because I had a blast this past weekend and I bought this many at Indigo and I bought this many at the Goodwill bookstore. I have a few arriving today from Amazon. Number 10, the weirdest thing you've used as a bookmark. I do actually have bookmarks. I don't have them close by, but I have a wolf, I have No Surprise Dragons, and a few others. Bookmarks, I use pretty much anything that's handy when I'm reading. Number 11, used books, yes or no? Well, you just saw my picture from the thrift store. Absolutely yes to used books. Number 12, top 3 favorite genres. Well, this will be difficult. I'm going to go with horror because that's been for a big chunk of my life. I'm going to go with ancient civilizations, anything to do with Maya, Aztecs, ancient Egypt, Atlantis, Lemuria, all of that. So ancient civilizations. And the third favorite genre. The third would be self-help motivation, because I have a number of books that include changing your thinking for the better, programs to work through to reset, get priorities figured out, doing self-work and improvement. So my 3 genres then are horror, ancient civilizations, and self-help. 13, borrow or buy. I prefer to buy. And again, if you've seen any of my book haul videos, that's no secret. I enjoy borrowing from the library to test run a book, and I have that in my description down below. If I'm not sure about a book or it's an author that I haven't tried out before, I'll check my library first, give the book a test run, and if it's something that I know I'm going to read again or something that I'm very much wanting to annotate. So the most recent was The Future of Humanity. And I knew as I was reading that was going to be something I'd refer back to again. So initially, if I can, I'll borrow it. I prefer to buy because I reread numerous books. Some I've read more than once, and so I like to have them here, and then I can just pick them up when I want to read them again, instead of finding out that suddenly I have to wait 2 to 3 months because the books become popular, which is what's happened with the Vampire Chronicles recently. Number 14, character or plot. This one, again, I don't have an answer because I need to be interested in the character. If I'm not, then I don't care what really happens in the rest of the story. And yes, that's kind of what happened for me with Fourth Wing. I wasn't invested in Violet, which is interesting for someone who lives with chronic pain. Violet has her issues in terms of physical things, and maybe that's part of why I couldn't relate to her, because the things Violet was doing and living with physical pain, I'm like, I get it's fiction, but yeah, no way in hell. So I couldn't relate to her. Now the plot, I think, is also important because I may find a character interesting, but if there isn't a good story or reason for me to learn about them, then again, it's okay, the character's of interest, but where's the story going? And if there isn't one, so to me, you have to have both. You have to have a character that I can relate to or be interested in learning about, and then you need a plot to go with it to have me keep going to find out what happens. Number 15, long or short books? Both. If I'm into my nonfiction phase, then I want longer books because I want detail, I want researched information, and I don't want just a little appetizer. I want the entree of information. Short books, that would be more with fiction, and it's why I enjoy H.G. Wells and other classics. They could tell you a story in under 300 pages, keep you going, keep you interested, and it was an amazing treat from start to finish. Some of these newer books that are 700 to 800 pages, and I don't remember King books when I read them being the doorstops that they are now. I mean, some of them were large for the time, but some of them now are just insanely long, and no. I'm like some of my former students. If you're going to give me a choice with a book that's this size or this size, I'm picking this one. So it really does depend. Long or short chapters? I prefer longer chapters. That's just me. It's one thing that is a bit challenging in the Wheel of Time because the chapters are short, the point of view changes. You really have to pay attention and keep track. And it's the one thing I did find difficult, especially later in the series, because there's 14 books from start to finish. And you start to, because you're flipping between point of view and settings and events, you can get a bit garbled in what was going on there because that point of view might be 5 or 6 chapters ago. So I prefer longer chapters where I find anyway, it's just easier to keep track of what's going on. Number 17, name the first 3 books you think of. Well, I have books currently sitting in front of me to do my book haul video. I've just been talking about numerous books. So the first 3 books you think of, well, I just talked about Dracula. I need to do my notes for Eye of the World. and I'm looking at The Gold of the Gods by Eric von Daniken, which I haven't read before, so that's what I'm going with. 18, books that make you laugh or cry. Books that made me laugh would be, and it's right down here, The Penguin Book of Canadian Jokes. Even though some of these are no longer appropriate and you have to switch some of the stories up, I did very much enjoy the You May Be Canadian If section in that. A book that made me cry, and this one I thought of while I was watching Dark Star's Answers, is Old Yeller. I read that when I was much younger. I remember the story. I remember the heartbreak of how that book ends. And as a fur kid mom and having to have said goodbye to 9 fur children, both indoors and ferals, I was honored to be with all of them when that moment came, but it didn't make it any less brutal at the time. And yes, I mean, it was a mix. It wasn't the same situation as in Old Yeller. It was either cancer or kidney, feral leukemia. So, yeah, see, now I'm going to get teary thinking of it. And even thinking of the book Old Yeller was just probably the start of why I always found it so difficult. And now, in my 60s, even more so, reading about something that happens with an animal, I can't do it. It does me, and I understand why authors put in their books. It's just, nope. It's enough to try and get through a day as it is right now in 2025 without that kicking me in the ass. 19, our world or fictional worlds. Again, it depends on why I'm reading. So if I'm on my nonfiction, totally immersed in going to learn something, obviously our world. If I need a break and our world is just getting to be too much and I can't shut some of the stuff off, then I want a fictional world and just, yeah. Calgon, take me away in book format. 20, audiobooks, yes or no? Rarely. I can't outright say no because now, thanks to Jenny, and I know I can speed it up, I can get through them a little better and stay focused, but my mind will still wander. And I just don't get things as well as if I have the physical book in my hand. 21. Do you ever judge a book by its cover? Absolutely. The first thing that's going to catch my attention is either the title or the author, because I'm usually looking for something specific as I'm browsing along a table. So, for instance, when I was shopping this weekend, the first thing that caught my attention was the title, Six of Crows, because I've heard a number of people talking about this on BookTube. And yes, I picked it up for that reason, but I also noticed the crow feathers and the silver sparkles. So for me, it's about the title first and the cover art second. Same as YouTube videos. What's going to catch my attention is the title of your video and then the thumbnail. But the thumbnail isn't what I go to first. And yeah, I know I'm weird that way, but it's definitely the title. And I mean, again, this is one of the Harry Dresdens that I just found. Dresden Files. And I mean, you've got this guy with his long trench coat and that amazing hat. So, of course, that's going to catch my attention. All right, where am I? Do you ever judge? 22. Book to movie or book to TV adaptations. Lord of the Rings, and I haven't reread Lord of the Rings yet, but I did enjoy that movie adaptation. Book to TV. They usually really screw it up with TV, or I guess you would call it screaming. Screaming? Streaming. Freudian slip there. Because with TV, yes, you get it longer. I was just talking about this the other day. Vampire Diaries, definitely nothing like the books. Trying to think what else was a TV adaptation. Vampire Diaries is the only thing coming to mind, and when I didn't come in during season 1, so I thought, oh, I'll read the books, and then, I can catch up with the show. No, not even close. And honestly, Wheel of Time is the same. If you've read the Wheel of Time books, you know exactly what I mean. And I get there's reasons that they change it and it said based on, but it's a very different story from what the books are. I find with the movies, maybe it's because they have to shorten it, although Queen of the Damned is the exception, because last night I just watched Queen of the Damned, and I've just read The Vampire Lestat, and I need to finish Queen of the Damned. But that movie is actually pulled from those 2 books, but there's a ton of differences there. Book to movie, I'm thinking of the Divergent series, the 3 books. Those actually are relatively close to the stories, but the books actually have a conclusive ending, which sadly the movies never did. So I'm going to say I prefer the books and just leave it at that because I really do. 23. A movie or TV adaptation you preferred more than the book. I'm going to say Vampire Diaries, but only because I watched the entire series versus reading all the books. And don't get me wrong, there's lots of things I have an issue with the Vampire Diaries. No, this time it wasn't sparkly vampires. It was that supposed witch, Bonnie, who created, if you map it out, she caused a lot of problems, but no self-responsibility and blamed everyone else. Grr. 24. Series or standalones? Well, with the Dresden Files, I'm going to say series. Same with Wheel of Time, because there's just so much fun. And because it's a series, you can, and same with the Vampire Chronicles. Those are 3 series that I'm reading this year. I enjoy those because you can see character growth, development, there's different settings, there's just so much more you can do in a series of books. But if I want a quick, short read, don't have to wonder if there's going to be an ending, I prefer a standalone because you can just escape for an afternoon, a day, a few days, depending on the length of the book. So it really depends on where my reading thoughts are at that time. I am going to tag a few people and I will put them in the description box down below. If you're watching this video, consider yourself tagged. And until next time, remember, be safe, be well, and big hugs.